and you put them in the same scale with Korea, the line is almost flat in a comparative sense. You can see no change. So you can see this is very common. You almost not see the Kenyan line. It's almost flat, it's horizontal. Nigeria, which is one of the biggest, largest oil exporters. That Zambia, again, is totally flat. Okay, so basically what I am saying there is that we really started at the same point, and we all know this story, which is a pathetic story. Now, look at the other thing about Korea, which is diversification. Korea's manufacturers are the primary exports, and I'll move quickly. But if you look at African countries, that's Nigeria, most of the exports are oil, 93% is petroleum. Now, if you are getting all your income here, and by the way, petroleum is, you are just digging it up, then taking it to the US, and you get the dollars. So you didn't, I don't think, there's no brains required to do that. I mean, I think, it's not so much brains, really, to get oil from the ground and make sure it reaches US. So this is why we are unhappy about what we've been doing. You see exports been rising in the US, in Nigeria, but again, 93% of exports are oil. Zambia is copper, 74%. Again, you're not doing anything about the copper, you're just taking it out of the ground. Ghana, a little bit gold, but copper. And then this is copper that is not processed, it's not chocolate. It is just the copper, so you can see how it is. Okay, so Botswana, which has done relatively well, you can see also it's 63% is diamonds. The difference between Botswana and other countries is that it gets these natural resources, but better management. I would skip, well, that's my country, so agriculture a little bit better. Now, I am not going to spend a lot of time about the indicators, but I would like you to look at, you can see that the primary enrollment, we have done very well, relatively, because of the MDGs. We are doing very well. But then go on to secondary school enrollment, you see major differences. Look at tertiary education. Compare tertiary education and with Korea and African countries. If you're thinking about transforming economies, if you're thinking about knowledge economies, tertiary education does matter a lot. So you can see where we are and look at Korea, and then think about transforming our economies in terms of technologies and so on. So you can see how vast of terrible shape we are. Okay, so I can go on and on. I mentioned something about life expectancies. Life expectancies in 1960 were very similar. Life expectancies in 2008. You can see for Korea is 80, for Zambia, Zambia is 45 in 2008, but they were almost the same thing. Probability of not surviving at age 40 for Zambia is 40%. So you cannot talk about growth. Remember, this is the population where most people are very productive, and now you are saying the probability that you will survive up to age, beyond age 40 for Zambia is 40%. So you cannot talk about development unless you deal with these human development indicators here. Okay, again, poverty rates, I think we know what is the story there. Let me, just for the sake of time, I want to just mention a few things about African states, then I think see what we can do. One of the things is that we have what we call failed states. We have not been able to build institutions for peaceful coexistence. Most of African states are what we call fragile states or failed states. We have what we call predatory governments. Predatory governments are ones that the leaders are basically focused on their self-interest, not the common good. We also have what we call other governments. Governments do not do what they are supposed to do. They do not provide the essential public goods, infrastructure, and so on. At the same time, we have an over-government. Over-government is governments doing what they should not be doing, over-regulating, sort of killing the incentives for production. we are international and competitive. We can spend days and days talking about our problems. We know them actually. We know our problems. Some observations so that we can have a discussion. If you look at what has happened in Africa, some statements we can make is that natural resources are neither necessary nor sufficient for economic growth. Just because you have all this oil or diamonds does not have anything to do with your growth trajectory. Many African countries are good examples of what we call the natural resource curse. The natural resource curse is that if you look at where there are problems in Africa, where you look at the peace problems, where people are fighting, you're going to find a lot of natural resources there. Whether it's Congo, whether it's Sudan, whether it's Nigeria, natural resources to us have been a curse. You know, so, should we say we shouldn't have it? But we have not been able to create institutions that can manage natural resources. Aid can support development, but it's not sufficient condition. I didn't want to say it's necessary, but it's not sufficient condition. We have been receiving aid, but we cannot be able to say that we have moved very far. But if you look at all the economies that have done well, you must transform the economies. Now, because I know that my colleagues need also time, we are supposed to go up to 8. I just say that the African Growth Initiative that I had at Brookings, our focus is on how can we transform the African economies. And basically looking at collaborative approaches, knowledge sharing, looking at the best cases, using evidence-based research to try and see where we can advise our governments, even advise donors, what's the best way that you can intervene in African economies to transform these economies. And now jumping about the Korean model, can it be exportable? I believe so. If you look at the ingredients of the Korean model, it's exportable. But we need to understand the context. Modifications are necessary to suit the environment. It's not just taking the Korean model. We need to establish modalities for knowledge sharing. I think there was a paper yesterday that focused on this knowledge sharing, and this is crucial for our link with Korea. Identify appropriate modalities for technology transfer and adaptation. I think for us to grow, we must start with the technology. There is no other way. Establish strong links with think tanks, private sector, and governments. I know, since I'm from the think tank world, I believe that the think tanks have a role to play in terms of knowledge generation, but also looking at identifying what leader wants, testing all these. I would say we avoid top-down approaches. They are not going to work. However, for our part, I will note that nobody will develop Africa except Africans. It is easier to export policies, but also not so with institutions. Okay, so we can say which institutions work, policies work, but institutions are our problem. Africans must focus on building institutions that are peaceful coexistence. There is no shortcut. We must also recognize that centrality of micro-institutions. I want to go into this. I'm actually giving a keynote address at the World Bank in November, and I designed this title of micro-institutions. Basically saying, and this is consistent with what Dr. Chelari has always told me about family, about the local communities, about school boards. The smallest local organizations are very important in terms of performance, and I'll be talking about those. So we must also accept that we must make deliberate choices. There are tough decisions to make, tough trade-offs to make. Thank you very much.